Welcome to the C-Suite podcast with me, Russell Goldsmith, and Graham Barratt. We are here at Money20, Las Vegas.
We're producing these episodes in partnership with Atomic, a leading embedded financial connectivity platform.
We are going to be interviewing a number of the speakers and attendees from the event, and we really hope you enjoyed the show.
Okay, joining me now is Jordan Wright. He is the co-founder and CEO of Atomic. Jordan, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. Really good to see you here at Money20 and your brilliant booth. We've really enjoyed being here. Now, tell us about your mission at Atomic. It's all about championing financial mobility, isn't it? But what does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, so we champion upward financial mobility by helping provide consumers savings opportunities, spend optimization, things like that. So if you think about it as, initially it's easy. If it's easier for financial institutions, for consumers to change their financial relationship, then they have more leverage in their banking relationship. But then it really moved into, how can we enable consumers to monitor their many subscriptions and regular payments? How can we manage those and identify savings opportunities and provide them for them? And I think those opportunities then provide a consumer the ability to save more money, hopefully invest more money, and prepare for the future better.
Brilliant. And what can you tell us about one of the key topics we've been discussing today is all around account primacy. So what does that actually mean for both financial institutions and of course the end customer as well?
Yeah, so account primacy has meant, usually it's a few different definitions, it's a little bit different for different banks. But first off, do we get their paycheck sent here? Mm-hmm. Are payments originating from here? And is this the place they come to consider their financial picture? Right? And that's kind of how financial institutions typically view primacy. Some people say eyeballs and apps, those sorts of things. And why, as a consumer, you and I never thought about the word primacy before I joined FinTech, no. Right? Like, why do we care? We just want something that can do everything that we need done, right? And so I think that one of the things that, even as 1033 is trying to make it easier for consumers to change their financial institution, those sorts of things, I like to think about the traditional bill pay analogy. If bill pay was a very sticky product that here in the United States we used a lot, it's really got popular in the 90s and early 2000s, but has dropped in usage significantly. But it was a product that consumers loved to use. They would invest their time in getting all their merchants set up, and then we'd go pay these bills, right? Well, in the future, we look forward to what bill management is going to become, right? And I think about primacy. I think, gosh, if I'm the place where a consumer comes to interact with all the payments, all the things they're paying from my account, if they, instead of interacting with them through those apps, if they interact with them via my account, that's a much better position for me to be in as a bank.
Yeah. Now, something I can relate to, and I'm sure everybody can relate to, is subscription management and how these charges kind of creep up on you, don't you? Oh, I never knew I signed up for that, and it's gone out of my bank account again. So how are you going about trying to improve that customer experience?
Yeah, there's a few ways we're trying to improve this customer experience. But I would say, I would point listeners to, there was an article published, I want to say in April or June or May of this year in the Wall Street Journal, where somebody canceled all their subscriptions and with the savings bought a Tesla, right? And as much as we might be embarrassed to admit that of ourselves, I think that's true for a lot of affluent Americans, right? Yeah. That we just have these things chipping away at our finances. So you think about, $500 or $600 a month Tesla payment. If you were putting that to your retirement, we might not have the issues that we're facing as a retirement in this country, right? And so I think that what has to happen first off is identification of those subscriptions and identifying that they're happening on a regular basis and what the costs are like. I think some of us, if you're like me, I have a subscription, it's several subscriptions that are annual because I'd rather pay annual because I get savings from them. Well, then it's really hard to track that because who's looking back a year? So if there's something that was going to tell me, hey, you have these upcoming payments that are going to impact your finances, that gets really exciting. And then the problem of PFM to date. PFM has been embedded in lots of financial services. And I was just talking to a bank this morning, they're like, yeah, but usage is meh, right? And so the reason why usage is meh is because it doesn't actually do anything for you outside of maybe present a depressing picture, which is that you have a negative net worth because you have a mortgage on your home and you have all these other sorts of things that represent your PFM status. But if instead it was saying, hey, these are the things going wrong with your finances and we can fix them for you. You don't have to leave the app. We're actually going to take care of it right here, right now. And Atomic wants to become the action layer of the internet, where those actions are being taken, we're helping the consumer take that action on their behalf.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this time next year I'll have my Tesla, but I'll come back to you on that.
That sounds great.
Let's move the conversation on to Money20, where we are today. So you're speaking on what sounds like a really fun session called FinTech Truths and a Lie. It's obviously a play on AI there. So what are you hoping to bring to that discussion? Who else is on the panel? What can you tell us?
Yeah, we've got some great panelists, although frankly I'm blanking on the names outside of Jane Barratt, so who's a good personal friend. But anyway, Sanigda Kumar and there's one other.
Yep.
But the panel I'm excited about is it's a room where you got to drop your phone at the door. You have to put it in a little cubby, right? So that it's supposed to be a little bit more raw. And I think one of the typical complaints about a Money 2020 presentation is that your competitor might be sitting in the audience. You're not going to just take off the gloves and share, or share everything about what's going on in your business. So hopefully it allows us an opportunity to be a little bit more raw about about what's actually going on. The thing that I'm happy to say is that PFM, embedded PFM, sucks as a category, and I think we'll be on the stage with a person that provides PFM, right? And so embedded, and so happy to do that, and also happy to say like, but I think there's hope for it. We've been talking about the Google Maps or the automated self-driving of finance for the longest time. And without action, it was never possible. And it's like, that's what has me super excited. Like, if I had to get in the prediction game, if this was giving me 3 predictions that will happen in the next few years, I would say, I think subscription management will be ubiquitous within 5 to 7 years, along with earned wage access and some of these other major trends we see right now. And that is so great for consumers because it's going to make their lives better. There's recently an FTC ruling stating that merchants have to make it as easy to cancel as it was to sign up. Like those sorts of things are all going in consumers' favor, and I think they're going to be fantastic for consumers going in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sounds good. Okay, well, let's wrap up the conversation by talking about what's next for Atomic. I mean, what are you passionate about at the moment, and where would you like to take the business?
Yeah, I mean, it's really this bill management that we've been discussing the entire time. I get asked by my investors oftentimes, okay, what's next? What's next? I'm like, we're sitting on one of the coolest opportunities in history.
We're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We're bringing the future to the present right now. We're just going to go execute on this. And I get to go tell my kids when they're using these tools in the future. And all of our employees do too. It's a very exciting time. All of us, I mean, we get to look around this room. I don't know how many people at Money 2020, but I can tell you that probably 80% of the people in this conference have our SDK on their phone, right? And in the next year, it's going to be, hopefully, or next few years, it's going to be, we saved X number of dollars for these people over this time period, and hopefully it's that similar percentage of people in Money 2020.
Yeah, that really tangible benefit to everyone. That sounds awesome.
That's right.
Well, listen, thanks for taking us through that. Jordan Wright, enjoy the rest of your Money 2020.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So I'm joined by Jane Barratt, the Chief Advocacy Officer at MX. Jane, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Russell. Great to be here.
Should we start with a quick intro to the company?
Of course, I would love to. So MX, we've been around about 14 years. We do data and software services for banks, credit unions, and fintechs. Basically everything that allows people to connect to their money, get insight through enhanced data, and then put that data to work through software tools like white label mobile apps and white label digital money management tools.
Now, one of the topics we noticed a lot of talk in the lead up to the conference, and obviously people talking here as well, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's long expected ruling on data sharing, Rule 1033. What do you see are the implications of that?
So the intent of the rule, and it's been around a long time, 14 years, is to just ensure that people can access and share their data. And that has been argued about ever since Dodd-Frank first came out in 2010. So the intent is to access, to make it secure, to make it private, but really to also open up a competitive landscape that people can switch more easily, they can get access to better products that are more suitable for them. So the implications for consumers is hopefully a healthier competitive landscape, as well as more privacy and more control over their data. Like you and I, our data is out there being sold every single day. Data exhaust that is generated through ad tech, through technology companies, has been around a long time. Financial data and health data are the two most sort of precious and private sources of data. So making sure that as consumers, that's protected is really important. Now, in terms of implications, that's for consumers. For the ecosystem, it means that data providers, like financial institutions, large fintechs, they need to make data available. And it's through APIs, through secure methods. For intermediaries like us, the implication is that we have to make sure that we're compliant in terms of how consent is generated and stored, making sure people have the adequate disclosures. And then for like the ecosystem generally, whether it's a financial institution that's bringing data in or a fintech, there's a lot of requirements in terms of how to raise the compliance game to make sure that it's clear that a person has consented use of their data.
Okay, there's a lot to take on
There's
there.
a lot in that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Another big topic here, I mean, well, not just here, pretty much every podcast we seem to be doing at the moment is AI. What's your thoughts on that in terms of the use of the industry?
So I think a slightly spicy take is the promise of AI is about personalization and customization and making sure people are truly getting the services and products that are customized to them, because AI can do that. What we're actually seeing out there is more, I would say, low-end use cases, repeatable, manual things that can now, like compliance tasks, that can now be automated in a way that they couldn't before. So I think what we're seeing short-term is blocking and tackling type work with AI. To get into the promise of personalization and customization, we actually need to solve for data first, right? Where are the models coming from that is going to help someone, right? Unless it's like a personal agent that you, Russell, have given over all of your data to a personal agent and it's given you personalized, recommendations back. That doesn't exist as yet, right? So there's still a long way to go with AI, and the number one question is what data has informed the model that is going to be informing me? And that I think is the more interesting conversation about AI.
Do you ever have concern at the pace of the way the technology is, the impact that it could have?
It is hilarious you say that, because I think this is my 9th or 10th Money20, and every year it's the year of something.
Oh, okay.
It's the year of crypto, it's the year of social, it's the year of robos, and last year and this year have definitely been year of AI.
Yeah.
But again, has there been a killer use case for you, Russell, to go, holy crap, I need that, right? Have you had that experience here?
Not yet.
See?
Not yet.
So yes, it's still more promising.
Don't get too worried, is what you're saying.
Yes, it is. The hype cycle is real, and usually we've moved on to something else. I'm going to go with next year or the year after will be quantum computing, and everyone's all spun up about that, while we still haven't quite figured out what are the most beneficial use cases for AI.
All right, well, let's stick on that point then. Let's talk about future trends. What's exciting you about any future trends that are coming out at the moment?
So I think this idea that we are in a multi-generational cycle of just how money works, right? Bills show up every month. Your paycheck shows up every 2 weeks. There are norms built into society around money that just are kind of accepted. What they haven't accepted is that the world changed. I don't know about you, but many people have multiple income streams. You may have one job, you've got a side hustle, you've got a small business, right? So this idea of intermittent income and how you can survive in a world where your bills are static, but your income is not. This excites me, right? And again, it may be an AI agent, I'll go there, but something that is much more customized to you. If you're a seasonal worker, right, and you have to make sure that your income lasts all year long, are we actually helping solve for those use cases? So that's what excites me moving forward. This idea of personal financial management actually is incredibly robust. But there's still a lot of potential within that realm for both data and software and AI to genuinely help people.
Yeah, some good examples there. Now, just to finish off, we are recording this on one of your partners' booths. We're here with Atomic.
Right.
Tell us about I don't know if you can talk about that in particular, but also some of your other recent partnerships as well.
So at MX, we have a long history of partnering with both enormous industry players like NCR, who are now Candescent, in Q2, and others where we've really been able to affect a lot of people through a lot of institutions through our partnership. So we have deep DNA for embedding the MX solutions into partner solutions and vice versa. So I think what Atomic has built is phenomenal. Going back to my point around, usually we're not solving for income, and Atomic has taken such an amazing challenge on, which is how can we enable people to get more out of their payroll and link it to billing cycles and things like that. So I think our recent partnership that we announced with Atomic is so fundamental to, it's not just looking at what's going on in your money in terms of balances and transactions and spending, but really solving for that top line, of your personal financial sheet, which is your income, and making sure that we can enable MX customers and their customers to get the benefit of that is just, it's so exciting. We're absolutely thrilled to be with Atomic.
I'm sure they'll appreciate you saying that. Any other partnerships that you want to share?
We recently also announced a partnership with Dwala. Again, we've been working with them for a while, so very happy to be moving again more into that money movement space. I think there is a lot going on just generally across the payment space, and with open banking really enabling a lot more connectivity into bank accounts, we see the rise of pay by bank and these sort of non-card-based payment mechanisms. So we're super excited for the Dwala partnership too.
Good stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing all that. And Jane Barratt, thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you, Russell, and thanks to Atomic.
Very pleased to say that Shri Santhanam has joined me here at Money20 on Atomic's booth. He is the Executive Vice President and General Manager of Software, Platforms and AI at Experian. Shri, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Fantastic to be here.
Excellent. So glad you could spare the time. So let's get into a bit of Experian news to start with. What can you tell us about this new Gen I product that you are launching?
Well, it's called the Experian Assistant, and we're very excited about it because it cuts through a lot of the hype and makes generative AI real.
That's what we're all looking for.
Of
That's
course,
perfect.
yeah. Experian's historically been a data company, and we're transforming ourselves to be much more of a data-backed platform company. And Gen AI is pretty critical to that journey. Imagine having an Experian expert on all of our data 24/7 available to answer any of your questions. We receive over 2,000 questions a month from our customers on our data, and our data is very powerful, but it's detailed and complex. So you need to be an expert to use it. You need to know what's fair in regulation to use, where it's appropriately and responsibly usable, and where certain data cannot be used.
Okay.
And to do this, we have several people, our experts from Experian, answer these questions. The Experian Assistant gives you our foremost expert in your pocket 24/7, helping you answer these questions and advising you.
Sounds awesome, yeah. So just drill down a little bit more. So how would you kind of sum up the real tangible benefits this will deliver for your clients?
It helps them build models faster. It helps them carry out analytics faster. It helps them get insights into the data faster. Imagine you're a financial institution trying to build an underwriting model. It can take weeks, and the Experian Assistant can cut down that time by 75%.
Wow.
Imagine you're at a financial institution trying to understand how you're targeting new customers. The Experian Assistant can help you find the right data and the insights to do that much faster, over 50% faster. And many more examples like that.
Absolutely, yeah. And how would you say the new solution leverages credit and fraud data?
Right now, it works through answering questions with all of our detailed trade line data.
Okay.
And so it can answer questions on consumer attributes, credit attributes, and we're in the process of incorporating all of our data, including our fraud data. So it will pretty much be able to answer questions on the universe of all of our data over time.
Okay. So, yeah, this is all about I guess improving the data experience for your clients, making it quicker, making it easier to access, as you've just alluded to there. How are your clients then using that data to drive innovation within their own businesses?
The foremost goal of many of our clients is financial inclusion.
Right.
When we achieve financial inclusion, both our clients win and consumers win as well.
Sure.
And so our clients are using the Experian Assistant and our data to drive innovation with their consumers. So products and services which can be delivered faster, underwriting models which can be more inclusive. In the US, there are 28 million credit invisibles, and they're invisible because traditional scoring methods simply don't highlight them. And so with tools like the Experian Assistant and our data, we have the opportunity to take a much more inclusive approach to lending.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, because I guess the first thing you think about when, with all these data enhancements, maybe isn't financial inclusion, but that's excellent to hear that that's kind of underwriting the whole thing. Listen, Shri, I really appreciate you taking me through all of that, and I really appreciate you joining me here on Atomic's booth. So enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you for having me. Fantastic.
So joining me now is Tom Bianco, the General Manager of Newline by Fifth Third. Tom, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Should we start with if you can just explain where Newline fits within Fifth Third Bank, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. I'll start with what is Fifth Third Bank, because those are some of the questions we get. Fifth Third Bank is an institution headquartered out of Cincinnati, Ohio, so in the United States Midwest. We're over $200 billion in assets, and we're one of those companies that we serve our payment clients with highly scalable and sophisticated solutions. And for example, we're one of the top originators of ACH payments in the United States. We're one of the top prepaid issuing sponsor banks in the United States, and we have acquiring relationships with companies like WorldPay, PayRock, et cetera. So Fifth Third Bank, large regional institution, over $200 billion in assets. And Newline is our embedded payments business within Fifth Third, where we do things like issuing sponsorship, acquiring sponsorship. We have an open API infrastructure where we allow companies to effectively tap into our source systems for core payment initiation and processing, like ACH, wire, real-time payments, book transfers, and account solutions. And if you haven't heard of Fifth Third, you've probably heard of one of our companies that we spun out during the financial crisis of 07-08, a company called Vantiv that then became known as WorldPay, then WorldPay by FIS, now back to WorldPay. So that was a homegrown company within Fifth Third that we incubated. And so Newline is our kind of next iteration of payments innovation within the business.
Cool. Now, we are always happy to give other podcasts a plug. Hopefully they'll do the same for us. Tomorrow, you're going to be speaking on the Money podcast, and you're doing that with Trustly, and it's going to be around embedded finance, obviously. Can you share any highlights that you're going to be talking about there?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who haven't seen the Money Pot venue, it's a bit like a fishbowl. So excited to sit in the fishbowl and talk with one of our favorite clients, Trustly. One of the things that we'll talk about with Trustly is just kind of what is happening in the embedded payment space around new technologies, new capabilities, new consumer use cases, with which how regulations are changing the dynamic in the United States. Companies like Trustly, who have more open payment technology, are just going to enable a litany of new use cases. And so we'll talk about some of those things on that podcast. And we're just really excited to see when you have a company like Fifth Third, who knows how to innovate in this space, and you have a company like Trustly, who's an innovator in many different spaces. When you bring those two companies together, we like to talk about as 1 + 1 = 5. So we'll give a little insight into the, how we make 1 + 1 = 5.
Nice. Now, talking of innovators, I want to pick up on innovations. What do you see in terms of coming within the actual embedded finance space in terms of innovation?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I think first and foremost, just when you bring two platforms together, the Newline platform and our clients' platforms, there's a lot of things you can do with that information. Better capabilities, better services, better servicing, better value propositions. So I just love that kind of mega trend of like two innovative high-tech platforms coming together and the art of the possible there. The other thing that I'm really excited to see how it plays out is the open banking potential rules in the US. And so when you have the ability for consumers to access banking information in new ways with new regulatory constructs and frameworks, I see that as an innovation opportunity. And I'm really excited to see what can happen with more account-to-account commerce. And we love cards. We're a big sponsor bank, so cards aren't going away anytime soon. But I am curious to see how open banking, account-to-account payments, new commerce use cases, better digital experiences, how all of that comes together to reshape commerce in the United States.
You touched on clients there. Can you share with us some of the clients that you're working with and maybe others that you're hoping to talk to?
Yeah. So we have a list of companies we can talk about publicly. The long and short of it is, at Newline, we look for those companies who are setting the new paradigm in their industry. And so on the acquiring side, we talked about WorldPay, we talked about PayRock. Those are companies we work from an acquiring sponsorship standpoint. On the issuing side, we work with ADP, Corpay, Brex, a few other companies that we can't name. And then on the payment processing side, Trustly, Stripe, and some other big companies like AngelList that you may be familiar with. And so we really target those companies who have earned the right to win. They understand their market and where the market's going. And we really like to figure out how we can work together to change that paradigm.
I just want to finish off, just come back to the topic of innovation. I was just wondering if there's any innovation and changes in open banking, particularly in the US, that could potentially change the landscape maybe?
Access to information, I think, is going to be huge. And so as consumers are in control of their banking and their financial services data, and they're able to opt in to certain constructs, I think you'll see new commerce models emerge. So with a large retailer having a digital wallet, what kind of experience, what kind of offers, what are the things that they can add value to the commerce experience and equation for consumers in the US? I just think that's going to be a really interesting theme to explore. And then I also think when you look at safety, security, having consumers in control of their data and being able to opt in again and opt out of certain use cases will just strengthen the overall kind of inherent belief that these account-to-account use cases at the point of sale and more traditional commerce use cases can really take hold. So I'm just, as somebody who's been in payments for quite a while, right? I won't date myself, but it's internet days, not digital days, right? I'm just really excited to see how those new use cases emerge with the technologies and kind of the deeper understanding that I think consumers will have over their information going forward.
Interesting stuff. Well, we look forward to seeing how that all plays out. But for now, Tom, Bianco, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, joining me now is Anthony Burton. He is SVP, Head of Open Banking at Truist. How are you doing here today, Anthony?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, not at all. Nice to see you here at Money 2020. Well, let's talk about open banking. Let's start with that. Obviously, it's a big talking point at Money 2020, especially with the recent news, the Dodd-Frank Act. What are you, I guess, most excited about in this space at present?
Yeah, so I think at Truist, we really look at open banking as having kind of three fundamental pillars. One is connected banking or data out, which is a lot of what the regulation's talking about right now for data providers like us. Data in, where we can actually bring in our customers' held away data so we get a more complete picture of where they are. And then embedded banking, where we can actually leverage some new distribution channels for our core capabilities. So I think the really exciting thing is with the regulation is it really kind of validates that this is a legitimate channel. And I think like online and mobile has gotten us basically as far as it can. And now open banking is the next step for us. And so yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously, pretty much everybody here is in the fintech space and probably is leveraging some level of open banking data today.
Yeah, I mean, it's been long anticipated, hasn't it? But
yeah.
There seems to be a good reception to that, so it's great to hear. Now, another big talking point at every conference we go to, but certainly here at Money 2020, is AI as well. So, yeah. I mean, it's just inescapable, isn't it? So, what do you think about the impact that AI is having on open banking, and how can that accelerate its possibilities maybe?
Yeah, so far be it for me to be an expert in AI, but what I can tell you is that it's only as good as the data gets, right? Sure. So if you're only getting a smaller picture of somebody's banking lifestyle, it's really only going to be able to give you only a certain set of results. So more open banking data, a more richer profile of a customer can do better servicing for them as AI generates, and then even more on future products and stuff like that it can leverage the data for.
Are you picking up on any of the AI talking points here at Money 2020? Is there anything you've excited about or heard on the grapevine?
There is some good stuff. I mean, I actually used some AI to read through the regulation.
Oh, no way. There you go.
A little
Perfect.
bit. So,
yeah.
No, I think AI's got really just scratching the surface at this point in time. There's a lot of interesting things here that I'm kind of walking around and talking to folks about, but no, I think from an open banking standpoint, we just see that there's a really strong interplay between both those new technologies.
Nice. So you're just going around absorbing it all. I really like that. Yeah. Well, let's turn the spotlight on Truist then. How are you driving personalization and, I guess, consumer empowerment, those kind of things?
Sure. Yeah. And one of our core values is care, and so to properly care for our customers, we really need to see that full picture. So kind of going back to how we're really looking at data is not just your Truist data, but your broader financial picture, so that we can properly service our customers and see if we can help them along the way, see some things that they may not be seeing ahead of time. So really just not just personalizing their product suite, but really personalizing the service and giving them the proper amount of care which is one of our core priorities. So
sure. Another big talking point, we seem to be just running through all the big talking points here at Money 2020, but what about embedded finance as well? Again, that's really accelerating at the minute. What kind of trends do you think are going to shape the future of embedded space?
At Truist, we really kind of look at it as a new distribution channel for our services, right? So, our core capabilities, the things that we're good at, and being able to put those into either other fintech platforms that are always like living on Truist, or even in non-financial platforms, so events, arenas, stuff like this, where we can actually provide our core capabilities to customers. All needs to be driven around a distinct customer benefit, so there's a win-win for everybody there. It's not just about plastering, capabilities and banner ads or stuff like that, but it's something contextual the customer really needs at that time. We've seen a lot of desire for small business lending to have that within the platforms that our customers are using. So that's an area that we're taking a strong look at. But we really do see this as just the kind of a new kind of highway for us to be able to distribute the things that we're really good at in a more broad way.
Yeah. I'll just finish up by telling me about Truist and anything that you're personally excited about in your role, or anything, company-wide?
Yeah, so I think the thing that really drew me to Truist is it's very client-focused and it's very experience-focused. And truthfully, it's one thing for us to compete with other banks and all of that, but we're really competing with all of our customers' digital experiences, really. So having a design-centered experience and having a team that really focuses on data and putting the customer at the core of everything really is like one of the things that's really exciting at Truist. It's not about just creating siloed products. It's really looking at the customer and how do we service the customer in the best way along their financial journey, right? So it's going to be very different when you're 23 years old to when you're married with kids about to go to college, and we want to be there with you all that every step of that way. And the only way we can really do that successfully is with the amount of open banking data that we can pull in. So we're really excited about the future.
Well, good luck with that financial journey. Good luck with your own journey around Money 2020 today. Anthony Burton, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
We really hope you've enjoyed these conversations from Atomic's booth here at Money 2020 Las Vegas at the Venetian.
Don't forget, if you have enjoyed the show, please do give us a positive rating and review. But for now, from me, Russell Goldsmith and Graham Barratt, goodbye.